Hello guys, welcome back to the Try 10 Podcast YouTube channel. I'm Callum and here's the top 10 hookers in Super League. Now, as I'm sure you've seen, we have now done the second rowers, we've done the loose forwards and we've done the props. So we've got the hookers today, which is the last of the forwards. And yeah, check them other ones out if you haven't already. And yeah, I'm sure you know how it works by now, so let's get straight in at number 10, which I've got Sam Powell. Now, interesting one, obviously he's the backup hooker at Warrington nowadays. Made the move after being at Wigan for his whole career, basically. Great hooker, kind of at that point now where he can step back to be that sort of secondary hooker. Works well. Obviously, he's played in the halves before as well. I think 10th's about right for him on here. I don't think he sort of sets the world alight anymore, but still a solid hooker in Super League. And now we'll move on to number 9, where we have got Andy Ackers. Now, this season, I think Leeds in general have been fairly poor, and Ackers can sort of be included in that. But I think, you've got to go off to what he was like at Salford, as well as the hints of that he's shown at Leeds. Leeds as a whole have been poor. If they can pick up some form, I'm sure Ackers can, have a big say in how they do, really. And I think he is still solid. He's great out of dummy half. He's solid defensively. He's been one of the most consistent hookers in Super League over the past couple of years, before this season. So hopefully he can refine that form and then maybe move up this list. At number 8, we've got an old stalwart, and it's, of course, Paul McShane. I mean, he had to be on this list. Maybe 5 years ago he'd be at the top of it. But now, down in 8th, I think it's about right for him. Coming to the end of his career, still great, still one of Castleford's best players, still a great leader within that changing room as well. He's maybe lost that yard of pace that he once had, but he still barely misses a tackle, and still he's great out of dummy half. So I think he had to be on the list. So at number 7, we have got another quote-unquote backup hooker, and the last of them on this list, and we have got Cruz Leeming. Now, he's an interesting one, Cruz, because obviously he was good at Huddersfield when he first came on. He was, he's good for Leeds, and then obviously had the big fallout. Went over to the NRL, did all right down there. He didn't do amazingly, but he did all right. And then now signed for Wigan in this sort of backup role that he's playing at the minute, and it works well. It works really well. He kind of adds that bit of spark off the bench, and obviously Wigan are a great team, the best team in Super League at the minute. I mean, technically the best team in the world as well. And Lehman's a big part of that as well. I do really value what he gives them off the bench. And I also think he's got the ability to be at a lesser team as their main hooker, an 80-minute hooker at one of these worst teams. But I can see why he's at Wigan, and that seems to be a really good fit for him. So that's why he's 7th. I think easily, if he was the number 1 hooker at a team, he could easily be top 4 on this list. Now, number 6, we've got one that you Hull KR fans that like to give me stick all the time will love, and that is Jez Litton. Now, he's not on here just for his goal kicking, but obviously that is a good thing as well. But he's great. He's so quick out of dummy half, good defensively. He's everything you want from a hooker, really. Genuinely, the way he's progressed over these past couple of years, he's great from sort of when he first broke on the scene in Super League. I think he's a great little hooker. Does the job, kind of flies under the radar as well in these sort of conversations. So I think top 6, it's really good when you think about it. So I think fair play, and I can easily see in the next couple of years him rising even higher on this list as well. So we're top 5 now, and we've got, again, another stalwart in Super League. We've got Michael McAlorum. Now, he's been great throughout his whole career in Super League, and at Catalans, he's been a big part of what they've done over these last sort of 3 or 4 years where they've made finals and things like that. And yeah, he's great. Yes, he's coming to the end of his career now, but still great. Still got the ability to, to be able to play. He played for England, obviously, in the World Cup a couple of years ago and did well there. Don't necessarily see him playing for England again, even though I know Wayne is a big fan of his. But yeah, I think you've got to put him in here just for what he's done in the past in Super League, but also he is still doing it now as well, which some of the players that I may have left off aren't doing. So I think fair play to McAlorum is doing well. Now top 4. Now we're getting into some of the top picks. I think there's a real gap between 4 and 5 now. I think these are easily the top 4 hookers in Super League. And number 4, we have got Danny Walker. Now, again, obviously broke on, played with Darryl Clark and kind of was that backup role. Now he's taking it on full time. He is the main hooker there. Obviously, we spoke about Powell, who is the backup at Warrington, but Walker's really taken his game to the next level. He's great. He played well for England in the test against Tonga in autumn. He's just really good. I think he's small, fast, nippy, but defensively he's so good as well. I think his game management's really good. He reads the game well, and I think Burgess really seems to like him in that hooker role. And again, they've got a really good dynamic going with him and Powell as well there. So yeah, Walker had to be top 4 for me. Again, honestly, in a couple of years, he could easily be number 1. And I can see, he's definitely going to be in contention again in the autumn with England. Number 3 is another good young English hooker who's just pipped Walker to the number 3 spot. These are very close. And it is Brad O'Neill. Now, the fact that this guy is still only 21 and playing in a position where you do have to be mature as a hooker, and the amount of games he's played for Wigan and how integral he's been to them being now Grand Slam champions. They currently hold everything they can hold, and Brad O'Neill has been such a big part in that. And people don't give him credit still. He's still not viewed as one of the best hookers, and I just don't get it. He's that good. Honestly, I could easily make an argument for him being higher on this list as well. He's great with the ball. He's great defensively, like I've said for most of these, but he just is that good. And at 21, he honestly has the world at his feet. Easily could see him going down under in the NRL, but hope he stays and lights up Super League for the rest of his career. I think he can be great for England going forward as well. And just, obviously, Wigan's production line is absolutely amazing. And Brad O'Neill's just another example of that. Right, now top 2. I think everyone will know who these top 2 are, but we've got number 2. I've got Darryl Clark. Now, some Saints fans, absolutely, I don't get it. They just don't, they love to scapegoat Darryl Clark. Don't get it. He's amazing. One of the best hookers in the league for the past 10 years plus, and he still is. Like, don't get me wrong, next year when we do this, I could easily see him dropping down to maybe 5th, because, he's coming towards the end of his career and these young hookers are potentially going to overtake him. But I still think now in this Saints team, he is so good. And, he's important to a lot of stuff they've done, and he's been important to a lot of things that Warrington have done over the past couple of years as well, so he just had to be there. And now finally, the number 1, you all know who it's going to be, and it's Edwin Ipape at Lee. What a player. For me, he's easily Lee's best player, and he has been for the last couple of seasons. So good. He's the one hooker on here that I think would walk into the majority of the NRL teams. I think he could go in the NRL tomorrow and not look out of place. I think he's a great hooker, great on both sides of the ball. He's attacking, it's unbelievable. I don't think there's much of a hooker in the league who does what he does with that sort of pace and power as well, and ability to do it, and the skill involved. I think Ipape is great, and I think everyone probably should agree with me on this. But obviously, let me know down below. But yeah, that is my 10. Who have I missed off? Any changes that you guys have made, let me know down below. And yeah, stay tuned when we move on to the backs. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in a bit.